What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Made another hot take on social media that's been doing the rounds again. This time we got called out by Judd Lienhard, and it was just criticizing one of my criticisms of functional training. Seems to be a bit of a revolving theme here, a lot of responses to responses of responses, but that's just the nature of response content these days, I guess. I'm not complaining, I contribute to it. Anyway, I thought this video would be not just a good opportunity to respond to Judd in full, will also show his full response to me, which I didn't do to him on social media, which I'm sorry about only showing part of your response, but I just only had time to show part of it. But here, so we'll show Judd's full response. I'll respond to a few individual points, but then at the end, this isn't just a vid just to criticize Judd. This is a chance to explain things, not just to Judd, but I guess to some of his audience as well. After we get the responses out of the way, I'm gonna take my best shot at explaining what do people genuinely mean when they talk about functional training? Try to boil it down. What actual physical qualities are we talking about? One of the topics I'm particularly keen to dive into at the end of this video, and I'm sorry for my existing audience because this is a recurring theme on this channel, ironically. Often when I get called out by people like this, they say that I'm oversimplifying training, which I take a lot of personal offense to because I think I've made at least 3 or 4 long form videos on the topic of complexity this calendar year alone. Literally one of the first topics I introduce all coaches to when I'm mentoring them. And it's a theme at just the heart of the GPP model. So I always appreciate another opportunity just to explain complexity to a whole bunch of people who think I'm oversimplifying training. As always, if you're interested in strength and conditioning coaching or mentorship for your coaching business, you can find links for that down below. Now let's get into the video. Okay, so what I'm gonna play now is Judd's response to my video, but it includes my entire piece of content anyway. Sorry, I had to come back. There's a big central theme to this video that I missed. It's this whole concept of training like a bodybuilder and whether that's good or bad for your athleticism. So Judd doesn't really like the whole idea of training like a bodybuilder. I think you need to do more functional training. I think it's fine to just train like a bodybuilder, which is something we can unpack because it's not necessarily the most explicit statement. Probably should have said hypertrophy, and I'll take that criticism on the chin. I still think that saying bodybuilding when you mean hypertrophy is way less vague than the whole concept of functional training. But anyway, that's why we're here, so let's unpack it. All right, roll the Usain Bolt and Michael Jordan footage. Now, if you like doing exercises with a functional twist, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to optimize your athletic training, you should absolutely be training like a bodybuilder when you're in the gym. And you train like an athlete when you're doing your sport or when you're doing your plyometrics or even when you're doing your Olympic weightlifting. But all the best athletes who are trying to maximize their training know when you're around the dumbbell rack, you use it like a bodybuilder. You don't try to recreate your sport because you're already doing that with your sport and with all your plyos and all the actual athletic stuff.
Okay, there are some things about this that I agree with, like the necessity or lack thereof to recreate your sport in the gym, okay? But the idea that you should train like a bodybuilder in the gym and train like an athlete on the field way oversimplifies things. And to equate bodybuilding type movements with the functional stuff and say that those are unequivocally better than the others is just completely asinine nonsense. There's a lot of benefits to a lot of what the clips that he shows people doing in there, a lot of the offset loading, contralateral loading, frontal plane stability, things that we can directly target and overload in the gym that will benefit things on the field. That doesn't mean all your training needs to be or should be gimmicky. Sometimes you need to do very simple things to overload muscles with force and tension. The concept that you should train like a bodybuilder is completely fucking stupid though. Also, I hate it when people take the elite athletes, the greatest of the greatest that are not gym warriors, that got in the gym, good for them, but that isn't what made them great, and nothing said their training was perfect. A lot of those dudes, if they had never hit a gym in their life, could have been fantastic because they are freaking genetic anomalies. They are not you and me. So trying to mimic what people like Michael Jordan and Usain Bolt did in the gym, thinking that that's the best way to train because they're naturally the best athletes, is pretty fucking stupid. All Herschel Walker did was jog and do push-ups and sit-ups. Do you honestly think that you or your son or daughter could do that and have similar results as Herschel Walker? No. This is another concept of somebody that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, oversimplifying things and pointing you in the wrong direction. Yes, the big basic lifts are very valuable for sports performance, but so are, implemented with those, certain functional lifts that train other aspects of athleticism and athletic capabilities. If you see other videos like this you would like me to comment on, please make sure you tag me and I'll respond. I'm Judd Lienhard. Always be an athlete.
All right, and after digesting all that as well, one thing to consider as well, there's a more charitable interpretation you could take where you're like, all right, this is the only piece of my content that Judd's ever seen. I don't think that's the case. I would bet that he checked out my profile, and I'm pretty sure he did have a little bit of a scroll through my profile before he did respond. So I'm responding as if that's the case. But if he comes back, he's like, no, I promise I've never seen any of your content. I'll be like, all right, fair play. Still wrong, and functional training is a stupid concept, but I would understand this response a lot more. Because to be fair, one of the major reasons I hate the concept of functional training is it's not explicit language. Whether we're giving instructions to our clients or whether we're making educational content for social media, I think we should always try to use more explicit language. And my use of bodybuilding wasn't the best in this case, because what's the actual physical quality that I'm trying to develop there? It's hypertrophy that I actually think is important for athletes, and hypertrophy training. Because there is very much a lifestyle associated with a very niche part of the bodybuilding community. Maybe really sedentary lifestyle outside of the gym, abusing all sorts of drugs, streamer bulking, potentially very limited ranges of motion. But to be fair to me, I did also add details like, when you're in the gym, lift like a bodybuilder. I didn't say live the lifestyle like a bodybuilder. But honestly, that's amazing training. If you as an athlete just want to play a lot of sport, and then when you're in the gym, just do bodybuilding style hypertrophy workouts, that'll be phenomenal for your athleticism, and you'll probably be really healthy, get really good outcomes, look amazing, and probably get I would say anywhere between 70 to 95% of the benefits of a world-class, as good as you can get S&C program with all your plyos, Olympic lifts, adding in sprint. Oh man, sport, if you're playing a lot of sport, you're getting a lot of plyos in, you're getting a lot of acceleration in. If you're making a lot of breaks in a field sport, you're getting some max velocity as well. If you gave me a choice of an athlete playing their sport and then outside of that, just doing 3 sessions a week of either just straight bodybuilding workouts or functional training, I'd take the bodybuilding every time, no question. Because I'm just guaranteed cashing in on one of the sickest adaptations, and I'm still not really neglecting too many physical qualities, because the only things I would add on top of that to craft a world-class S&C program would be some plyos, some Olympic lifts, some extra sprint training, potentially some extra conditioning. But these are all things they can get in their sport and in sports practice. They can't get hypertrophy from their sport or sports practice. Versus you're just burning all that time doing cable twirlies, which is not giving them anything even nearly as good as what they're getting from their sports practice. You're just wasting their time. The case for functional training, whatever the hell it even is extremely weak. Anyway, I just want to take this time to address a few of the things that Judd mentioned in the video specifically, so let's do that now. Now, if you like doing exercises with a functional twist, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Pretty nice caveat, right? But if you want to optimize your athletic training, you should absolutely be training like a bodybuilder when you're in the gym. And you train like an athlete when you're doing your sport, or when you're doing your plyometrics, or even when you're doing your Olympic weightlifting. But so specific, you're definitely not thinking the lifestyle of a bodybuilder. It's just when you're in the gym, you're still playing your sport, living like an athlete outside of it. Pretty reasonable, right?
There's a lot of benefits to a lot of what the clips that he shows people doing in there. A lot of the offset loading, contralateral loading, frontal plane stability, things that we can directly target and overload in the gym that will benefit things on the field.
No one would accuse you of simplifying a split squat, Judd. That's all he's talking about. Offset loading, contralateral loading, frontal plane stability. That's all it is. To me, this isn't functional training. This is just regular training. In fact, to me, it looks a lot like how a bodybuilder might train their legs. If you would only give me some grace for being a bit of a fan of bodybuilding, Judd.
I'd hate it when people take the elite athletes, the greatest of the greatest, that are not gym warriors, that got in the gym, good for them, but that isn't what made them great, and nothing said their training was perfect. A lot of those dudes, if they had never hit a gym in their life, could have been fantastic because they are freaking genetic anomalies.
Oh look, if all you do is post elite athletes and you don't show your own training or your clients' training, I totally agree, lame. Every now and then I just want to make a little bit of top funnel content, and it's really cool just to borrow some really famous athletes to make my point, because this is a really high chance of going viral. And then I'm back to posting my own training so yeah, I'm a terrible athlete. I think I have okay genetics. You said I look like I eat like shit, and I look like I have bad genetics. But honestly, what little muscle I've been able to build has contributed so much to my athleticism. Judd got really bent out of shape. He kept feeling like I was accusing him of being on steroids, but which is weird because he's open about his steroids, so I guess he just thinks about it a lot. I just think when you're taking steroids, you're telling me that muscle is important, because yeah, steroids can do other things for your athleticism, but the thing that they're best for, and one of the big reasons they can contribute so much to athleticism in certain sports, is their ability to just make it so easy to build muscle. Like, you can be doing functional training, and if you're on the jab, you'll be building heaps of muscle. But Judd made this whole point that he's never had issue building muscle. He's been big his whole life. He got into lifting weights as a natural bodybuilder, and he just built slabs of muscle really easy. He got to what a lot of people would consider a naturally impossible fat-free mass index if his self-reported figures are correct. Naturally, apparently. So again, it's the opposite of what he said. If you're a genetic freak, yeah, you're probably not going to benefit that much from bodybuilding, because maybe you're just naturally jacked. But if you're not genetically gifted, it's not functional training that you need. It's some actual horsepower on the chassis. Like, go build the engine, go build some muscle, still do your plyos, still play your sport, do some Olympic lifts if you want, do some odd lifting, or what. Yeah, we'll talk about what functional training might be. I think that's sort of a component of it.
They are not you and me. So trying to mimic what people like Michael Jordan and Usain Bolt did in the gym, thinking that that's the best way to train because they're naturally the best athletes, is pretty fucking stupid.
And what he's saying is right, and I hope I never implied that Michael Jordan was the best athlete because he did bodybuilding, and I hope I never implied that Usain Bolt was the best athlete because he did bodybuilding. The reason I'm always making this sort of content is because a lot of functional trainers are always making content about how bad hypertrophy training is for athletes. So I make this content to combat that. And that's why I even say at the start of all these videos, it's okay if you like these functional exercises, but we can't pretend that they're superior to these other great exercises.
All Herschel Walker did was jog and do push-ups and sit-ups. Do you honestly think that you or your son or daughter could do that and have similar results as Herschel Walker? No.
I don't get the point. Like, functional training hasn't made Herschel Walker either. Like, no one's making Herschel Walker. What are we doing here? Bodybuilding wouldn't have ruined Herschel Walker, I know that.
This is another concept of somebody that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, oversimplifying things and pointing you in the wrong direction.
Who's really pointing you in the wrong direction here, guys? Who do you reckon, hey? Let's quickly take a look at some of Judd's weight loss advice. Oh, okay, number one fat loss tip, inflammation. No, yeah. I'm the one who's trying to mislead you.
Yes, the big basic lifts are very valuable for sports performance, but so are, implemented with those, certain functional lifts that train other aspects of athleticism and athletic capabilities.
What are the patterns of athleticism? The ones they get in their sport already?
If you see other videos like this you would like me to comment on, please make sure you tag me and I'll respond. I'm Judd Lienhard. Always be an athlete.
I'd like you to respond to this, Judd. All right, that's enough of Judd, I think. Not quite, because we're still going to think about some of the concepts in that video. Because as vague as training like a bodybuilder can be, I think it's much clearer on like a community basis than the functional training community. Because functional training, like, yeah, the science-based lifters, like, they all have their differences, and there are the different factions of the lifting community, but you're much closer to knowing what to expect when you run into one of them. Functional training, they all hate each other. Functional training groups, they all hate each other and they all completely disagree they all think everyone's doing a horrible job of it. Because it can't just be offset loading, contralateral loading, and frontal plane stability, or athletic patterns. So the first one, that's just split squats. That's not functional training, that's bodybuilding. We'll just call it strength training to be ultra clear, because clarity is important. When I hear athletic patterns, I don't think functional training. I think things like leaps, hops, bounds. Leaps, hops, and bounds are still open to interpretation at a community level, but that's why with my content and the coaches I educate, I actually have very explicit meanings that I explain to people with a leap, hop, and a bound as well. So they're very clear like, you can see that clear, precise language is very, very important to me. I think about this stuff a lot, which is why I get the shit so much when people talk about functional training, because there is almost certainly in every instance a better word if it's actually good training. So again, going back to athletic patterns, leap, hop, bound. Leaping, jumping and landing off of two legs. Hopping, jumping and landing continuously off one leg. Bounding, jumping and landing continuously alternating legs. Great athletic patterns. Things like sprinting, athletic patterns. Sprinting is sprinting, it's not functional training. You have all your sprint drills like your skips, jumps. You have So I think Judd didn't bring it up, but I'm sure he would bring this up if we were to debate about what do people think of, what concepts are associated with functional training, multiplanar training. Because they all love to talk about this concept, and I agree with it, that all movement is multiplanar. But then all movement is multiplanar, including the bodybuilding stuff. and if you won't accept that's multiplanar, you have to accept that their sports practice is multiplanar. Not only is all your hypertrophy and strength training multiplanar, but so are your athletic patterns that you can do in the gym, such as all your plyometrics, even the ones that are more linear, even though it's technically, we're always moving in all three planes of motion. But you can even combine different vectors with your plyometrics and things like that. You can go horizontal into vertical, into lateral, and do all infinite variations of all those things. And typically when you don't really understand training, that's when you call those things functional. But when you actually understand training and you're interested in communicating clearly and being understood by other people and actually helping them, you use more clear language like I do. So yeah, thanks Judd for the opportunity to clear that up. So there's just never a good time to use it other than when you're trying to confuse or scam people. Because functional training, when it's good, there's a better and there's an older way of describing it that's just been around for longer. Functional training was second to the table. We already have categories for all of these exercises that he's doing. And for the bad ones, again, I'm happy for you to call whatever you want. Honestly, I like all these, this is the thing, I like all these cable twirlies and stuff as well. That's fine exercise, you know? It's the narratives. It's the narratives you attach to bodybuilding type training, and it's the narratives you attach to the functional training. I hate them both because they're all made up. You're a liar, and you wear your suit of lies around every day with you. You big muscle suit of lies. Sorry, that was dramatic. I don't know, Judd. Are you an idiot or are you a liar? I don't know. You're very muscly, I know that. It's a little bit suspicious to be don't do bodybuilding training and then you walk around with your red color and your fat-free muscle index through the roof. I'm on to you. What are you gonna do? Call me skinny? Huh? What's the cure to that? Hey, functional training? Yeah, right. Oh, I'm fuming. Oh. Hey, maybe there's a cuter angle on this. Maybe Judd was just sticking up for his mates. Maybe he's friends with the people who made the original piece of content that I called out. And let's talk about that because they, I'll be honest, I didn't have any content prepared for that night. I was just flicking through my little Reels algorithm and this popped up and I was like, this is a crap post about training. So I just put them on blast. It was they have a big account as well. So I was punching up. With all those videos where I'm just trolling for some crap piece of content to respond to, I always try to make sure that they've got a decent sized following. Because a lot of people would look at that post and they're like, oh, it's not so bad. They're saying that a combination of both is good. But that's just bullcrap because they weren't saying, oh, do bodybuilding or do good functional training. They're essentially just, the post is basically, oh, you can do bodybuilding or you can do like a slightly crapper version of it or like a version of it that you might fetishize, which again, I've said so many times, I say it in every piece of content. If you just want to do something because you like it, that's great. You don't have to be like, actually, it's more functional. You just train however you like. I'm big on the Olympic lifts. I don't think they have magic powers. I think there's unique things about any form of exercise, but I don't think athletes have to do the Olympic lifts. I do them mostly because I like them. I think they have some athletic benefits. Anyway, this like, oh, if you start swinging your arms when you're doing your Bulgarian split squats, you get athletic powers. It's crap. It's complete crap, and it's ruining my leg pump. So yeah, is it the worst bit of content? No. Is it the best bit of content that I would like stick my neck out for? Also no. It is objectively bad content. I mean, I got to the bottom of it for you. It's packaged in this like really polite way, but the message is rotten. Or maybe, like I said, maybe they don't know better because the industry is pretty bad at educating coaches, but that's why I'm here to educate coaches, so I hope you enjoyed that. One last thing, I'm still bent out of shape about the complexity thing, but this video's already gone on too long, so just if you want to learn what complexity actually means and the actual application of it to your decision-making process as a coach, check out some of the links down below, or at least check out my other content. YouTube is probably recommending 2 other videos here, so if you don't want to engage with any of the links down below, go binge watch some of my content, and I'll see you in a couple of days with another really well lit video. I'm sorry this sort of looks like a little bit of a horror house setup. I'm not sure, but I'm well lit. I just got to figure out how to light up the background. I'll see you in a few days.